All of us are familiar with the concept of saving money, right? When we are younger, our parents teach us how to save money by saying that we need to eat at home rather than go out. And then when we're entering the workspace, there's 401k that we need to put some money aside for some time in the future when we can finally enjoy that money. Throughout our life, we are basically taught how to save money until we retire. As you probably figured by thumbnail and the title of this video, it is inspired by a phenomenal book of Bill Perkins, Die with Zero. And this book put an interesting question in front of me. What happens when we save all our life and then we retire eventually? Is it actually the best way to allocate money, or maybe there's another way? Let's discuss it. Postponing life experiences. That was one of the most important and controversial things that I took for myself from this book. A lot of people try to save money throughout all their life, so sometime in the future after they retire they can travel the world, for example. And I bet a good number even succeed with those savings. However, the thing is, not a lot of those people end up traveling the world, and those who do enjoy it way less. Answer yourself a simple question. When would you want to go backpacking across the Europe? Would you prefer to do it in your 20s when you can sleep basically anywhere, you can stay up all night, party, make friends, and you don't have a lot of things to take care of? Or do you think you would enjoy this trip more when you are 60 after probably 40 years in a workspace, when you have a lot of things to take care of, and your body by the time will be just biologically older, so you will need to take more care of your body and basically give it some more comfort? Out of those two options, the answer is pretty obvious, at least to me. But if the answer is so simple, you're probably wondering why only a few people actually end up doing that. As people, we don't usually save money on valuable experiences, and we are taught to the extreme to save money for later, for some time in the future. Why do we try to save all the time and deny ourselves invaluable things or experiences? Well, here's one of the most common reasons. We save because we want to accumulate as much money as possible while we're actually working, so then sometime in the future we can not work anymore and enjoy the money that we accumulated. Well, backpacking across the Europe kinda showed us that that's not necessarily the best option to do, because in our 20s we would enjoy this trip so much more if we would take it in our 60s, So that money that you save by not going to this trip for your 60 years old will actually have a little bit less value, and I'm gonna talk more about it. Here's the funny thing. Let's say you're trying to save everything you can in your 20s. Either it's gonna be 10, 20, 30 or 50% from your income. Think about how much you can actually save right now in your 20s. Now, let's imagine that you were spending money in your 20s on trips to Europe, for example, and then you start saving in your 40s or your 50s. See, the thing is, people tend to earn the most amount of money in their mid to late 40s and 50s. This age range usually corresponds to the peak years of income for individuals. That being said, if you earn $40,000 in your 20s and you can save only 10% from that, you are saving $4,000 during the year, right? But what if you save the same 10% out of your $100,000 that you earn in your 50s? That number will be $10,000, which is 2.5 times bigger than the number in your 20s. Look, by stating that, Bill Perkins is not trying to tell you that you should not save anything in your 20s and just start in your 50s. What he's saying is that your savings in your 50s, the same percentage, will be way more significant than your savings in your 20s. So if you have a chance, you should not feel bad about spending some money on your life experiences in your 20s and building the happiness portfolio filled with memories. The chances are high that in your 40s or 50s you will be earning way more money and you will be able to compensate what you spent in your 20s, kind of thing. All of that being said, what are some actionable steps that we can actually take to optimize our life and maximize our life experiences? Bill Perkins reasonably argues that instead of putting all of our goals and dreams to sometime in the future, we should balance it somehow to start completing them now. He mentions something that can be described as a life plan. Sounds absolutely awful, I know. But the idea of the life plan is to understand when is the optimal time and age for some of the activities so they'll be the most enjoyable and suitable, and when is the time when those activities will hold reduced value or no value at all. What you can do basically to put that life plan together, you can split your life into age groups like 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, etc. And then you think about things that you want to try and do in life and you assign them to specific age categories. As an example, let's take a backpacking trip across Europe that we talked about before. You'll probably want to drop this activity in your 20s, and this will be the most optimal time for this trip. You will have more free time, you will have less things to care about, you will have a younger body, etc. That's why you might want to drop this activity in your 20s bucket and figure out how you can travel across the Europe in your 20s. Because you know that is the most optimal and the best time to do that, and later in life the value of this activity will be reduced. Let's take wine degustation as another example. In your 20s it will probably be a little less fun to hop on a bus with your buddies and go drink some wine while all of you will prefer a beer probably, right? However, in your 50s or 60s, imagine how cute it can be to hop in a nice car you and your wife have, go to a nice dinner and go to a date for wine tasting. You get the drift. For the majority of your goals and drifts, there will be specific specific age groups that those goals will be most suitable for. And the goal is to figure out how you can do this specific activity while you are in this specific age group. Because later when you are entering next age group, you know that the value of this activity might be reduced or might be no value at all. A big belief and concern about the retirement that we will need to save money while we are working so that we can sustain ourselves when we are not able to work anymore and we can still take care of ourselves. And it is a definitely valid point and it makes some sense for sure. Not saving for the retirement can have a very negative impact when you actually retire, right? But saving too much for the retirement can have an equally devastating effect. Bill Perkins in Die with Zero writes that it's better to spend money wisely throughout your life than to save it for some unknown time in the future, for some unknown period when you think you might need them. And he brings up such a good point that when you save too much for the retirement, you actually limit your opportunities in the present moment you are. The thing is, in your retirement years, you'll probably have a little calmer lifestyle and your expense is going to be a little reduced, so you'll possibly need less money for those years. That being said, it is extremely important to find that balance between putting enough money for the retirement so you don't struggle, but also spending some of that money now on the valuable experiences when the return on this money is so much higher than during your retirement years. The idea behind the reduced value of money over the years is huge. Bill Perkins in his book even provided the example how he made it in life and he decided that he's gonna give $10,000 to his grandma. But the thing is, when his grandma received those $10,000, she didn't know what to do with them and she didn't even spend it anyhow. I guess he mentioned that she bought him a nice sweater for Christmas, but that was it. That was the only thing she found she could do with those $10,000. But imagine what those $10,000 could bought her in her youth, for example. And there you have it, guys. In this video, I tried to share with you some of my main key takeaways from the book Die with Zero, and I would highly recommend this book. Definitely 10 out of 10. Read it by yourself and recommend it to your friends, that's for sure. Remember, there are specific age ranges that you can assign activities to, and those activities will be the most suitable and the most enjoyable during those years. That's why it is important to figure out what you can do to make those activities happen when you are still in those age groups. Because you know that later in life, when you enter the next age group, the value of those activities will be reduced and almost reduced to zero in some of the cases. Become a lifetime learner, learn how to optimize your life and try to get the maximum out of your life. Maximize your life experiences. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. If you found anything useful in it, I would really appreciate it if you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Check out my other videos meanwhile, and I'll see you in the next one.